Houston. Say again, please.
Houston, we've had a problem.
Hey there folks, welcome you all to the brand new studio for podcast number 5. Those astute of you will see that it's a completely different TV behind me, and it's pictures and all Star Wars pictures behind me and everything, people. What the hell? So I had this grand plan because what I really wanted to do was be able to do podcasts like that. So if something happens, there's no fuss for me. All I have to do is just, plug the laptop into whatever I'm recording with and go. And in the living room, that's particularly difficult because the living room is set up to do the Let's Plays dead easy. And it's set up to do the vlogs dead easy. If I want to sit on the couch, mic's there, plug the laptop. I mean, it's all set up for that. If I want to do this with the images with me and more of a podcast style, not so much. And I really wanted to do these podcasts in this chair. So comfy, this chair. And along with that, I work from home, and before lockdown I worked from home and went in a couple of days a week on site, but now it's all from home because of the situation we're in. So what I wanted was the ability to be able to work, because I have a desk in this room. Where I am now is the spare room in my house. And the spare room was set up and it had the desk to the right, which was actually facing a wall, effectively. It was facing that way. The window's here. And every time I felt like I wanted to sit at the desk in this nice chair and everything, because normally I work downstairs in a beanbag, which is dead comfy for the main part. But every now and then I just feel like sitting in the proper chair and just stretching out a bit. And I just never fancied it because I didn't want to sit and look at a wall. And so I had this idea to move the spare room round. And that's exactly what I have done today, people. I've had a cracking week and weekend so far. I didn't do my usual sort of flagging Friday that I normally do. And I ordered a Chinese. I set myself up at the gym again yesterday, because the gym opened for the first time today since lockdown. And so anyway, I had all that in mind. So my day today has been big workout at the gym. Then when I was doing that, I was like, right, I'm going to sort that room out so I can do my podcasts and be able to work, looking out of the window and blah, blah, blah. So that's exactly what I came back and did. And it was one of those, I thought, it's not going to take me long because I literally swapped the room around effectively. The bed used to be where we're now, and it's now to the right of me. And the desk is right here beside the camera, and that looks out of the window. And the TV is now sort of in the corner of the room at an angle. It used to be flat against the wall. So it all looks dead good. I mean, I was really reluctant to do it because I was like, God, it took me ages to sort the room out and with the first time and blah, blah, blah. But I'm really, really chuffed with the way it came out. So now it's so easy for me to do these podcasts because all of this kit is just set up. All I have to do is just bring the laptop from downstairs up to here, plug in the HDMI for the screen pictures, plug in the microphone, which is already here, because this is my second mic. I've got 2 of these Rode mics, and they were both downstairs just in case, Craigie Boy was going to come round and do some recording, or Aaron came round and did some. And I thought, well, that's daft. For the amount of times that actually happens, I'm as well having it up here, and if that happens, I'll take it downstairs, and it's not that much hassle to move the microphone downstairs. So this is the brand new studio, people. I can literally do a podcast on a whim now without any fuss or hassle, which is fantastic. And it also means, because the laptop is sat here beside the camera on the desk, which means that once I finish recording, I can sit in this chair, just move the mic out of the way and edit everything together while I'm up here. I've even got music up here and everything. It's just perfect is what it is. So you'll be seeing a lot more of these podcasts, and I'm going to try with the podcasts, maybe not this one because there's not really any footage to show, but I do feel like my viewing figures for the podcasts are down on what the vlogs were, and I think it might be because it's just me talking into the camera with the pictures rather than proper imagery being schmelted in. So I have seen that. I mean, it could be that it's just the content type that I'm putting up. Maybe it's just not been that interesting to people. But I thought the podcast that I did on the night of the Xbox games show on Thursday night would have been a bit more popular than it was, for it being bang on the night. Maybe it's just because so many people did them. I don't know. It's hard to judge with YouTube as to exactly whether you're doing something right or wrong, but the only way you can judge it is with thumbs ups and the amount of views you're getting. So I love doing these podcasts, and I want to get the format right so that you both, all of you guys enjoy them. So I want to make them so that the people who watch the vlog still enjoy these and vice versa. So if what you're missing is the footage that I used to smelt into the videos, then, I can make that happen with this. That's not a problem. So I just need to have a bit of a think about it. Anywho, shall we crack on, people? Now, this podcast came about because I was having a conversation with Aaron Brew, my son, last night, and we were getting into this sort of debate about whether or not the Xbox game show was good, bad, or indifferent, and opinions on how both of the PS5 and Xbox Series X have been shown off, what the games coming are like, and so basically the question was put to me from him, which is what this is where this podcast came from. The question from him was, if you could only have one of the consoles, which one would you go for now that you've had those showcases from those companies? And he was expecting me to say, well, of course it will be PlayStation because of the exclusive content. But I couldn't answer that because there's a lot more to it than just those exclusive games that Sony have got. So I think I need to pick darker images. The minute I get a white image, the lighting in front of me just gets blanked out and everything goes dark. I need to have a think about that as well. It's the big screen, people, making the lighting go wonky. And it's getting dark outside as well, so it's not like the window's helping me any. So the question was put to me, and it did make me really think about what it is that makes me love one console slightly more than another. And it bounces, it does change. I was a massive 360 fan, and then I fell in love with the PS3 when it became the Slim. And that kept me on the PlayStation track for quite a while. But to be honest, my PlayStation experience kind of when I got these consoles, when I got the PS4 and the Xbox One, my plan was to have the Xbox One as an exclusive only console and my PS4 to be my primary console, and that is exactly what happened, because the PS4 was a far better console. Power and everything else, everything played better on it, great experience on it, and I thought the dashboard, everything on it was better. Because it had such an ugly launch, obviously. God's sake, that got really dark, didn't it? Where's all my lighting gone, people? Bloody hellfire. So, the thing is, it kind of turned on its head when, PS4 Pro came first. And I got that, and that became a primary console. Then, what was it, a year later, the Xbox One X pitched up, and I just fell in love with the Xbox One X, and it became my primary console and has been ever since. So at the moment, the only time that my PS4 is touched is for an exclusive game. Like, everything else I do is on the Xbox One X. Like, because it is the games play better on it. The console is so quiet when you play it, even with all that power because of the liquid cooling and everything else. And, the PS4, I just dread putting it on because it just sounds like a bloody hovercraft taking it off every time I play an exclusive. So I need to know that a lot of the things that bugged me about the PS4 have been ironed out before I even think about making that my primary. That's the shots. Those are the two shots that are making me go dark. Those two PlayStation ones, because they've got white backgrounds. Next time I do these, people, I will take those out. I'll look for dark backgrounds and everything. Flagons up to you all. It's Flagons up Saturday, people. I'm going to have a sip of this before. I was going to have a sip of it and then it had a hair, people. There's nothing worse than a hair. Flagons up. The other thing about the new studio, there's somewhere to put my beer. What? That's some crazy shit, Stephen. Well, it is somewhat. Where was I? So when the question was put to me, I'm like, I can't answer that question. Like, I don't know what I'm going to pick. Well, I don't have to pick, right? I'm going to get both consoles at launch as long as I can get hold of them, as long as there's enough stocks and blah. So, but he was asking me the question because he knows I'll get both anyway. He was saying, which one would you pick? And he was, I'm sure he thought I was just going to say PlayStation straight off the bat. Now, there's a number of reasons that I can't say that. Because the exclusives are only part of the story with PlayStation. And as we've just talked about, there are things that just don't sit well with me with the PlayStation environment. Like the fact that it's bloody noisy. Like, you know, I'll rattle through some stuff anyway. So I have some notes, people. As I do, you know. So, okay, so we'll do some pros and cons, I think. You know, I think there's a lot of PlayStation people out there who are feeling a little bit smug at the minute because they don't feel that the Xbox Game Showcase was as all-hitting as it could have been. I'm of the opposite opinion. I think that Game Showcase was everything it was ever going to be because the big hitters are not going to come for a couple of years from PlayStation, from Xbox. God's sake, get it right, Stephen. And that is not a surprise. I don't know why that's a surprise to anybody. Like, they only bought those studios like 2 years ago. So there's no way they were going to have like those massive hitters coming out at launch. Also, you don't want all your big hitters coming out at launch anyway, because you can only, like, you are doing your studios no justice if you just launch a whole bunch of stuff on launch day. And can I just remind everyone as well, we don't even know what we're getting on launch day from PlayStation because they won't tell us anything. It's like, I'm pretty sure we might get Ratchet and Clank, and I'm pretty sure we might get Demon's Souls Remake, but Horizon Zero Dawn's not, Horizon whatever it's called now, Horizon the next one, isn't coming until next year, and I'm not bothered about that game anyway because I had a lot of issues with the first one. It's a gorgeous game, and it's a fantastical world, and it's a beautiful world, but as an RPG goes, I found it extremely boring when it came to the kit. 50% of an RPG for me is designing your character the way you want to play them. If you're not going to let me design the character itself, which is fine, then you've got to give me a lot of different kit to let me play that character as I want to play that character. Not give me a shopping section A that gives me the same 5 things for the next 20 hours of the game. Then give me another shopping the next area that gives me another set of stuff to buy. I mean, it's just, and then it's like I've got to change weapons to sort out certain creatures like on the fly and armor. It's like the whole thing made no sense to me as to what they were trying to do with all the weapons and all the armor. It made no sense, and there was like literally probably 5 different ways to look in that game. It's like, and I was just, you know, like, you've got to make the RPG side of it interesting if you're going to make an RPG. Like, don't just, you know, don't do that. That's Assassin's Creed bollocks, that is. If you're going to do an RPG, you've got to have a good loot system, and you've got to have good armor and weapons. Like, you've got to have a vast variety of them. And they've got to make sense when you're putting them on. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mind having a flame bow and an ice bow. That's fine. But I want the ability to maybe smelt the two together, or, you know, like, as it was, like, it's like, oh, Christ, I've got to go and fight this thing. Right, I know he's weak to this, right? I'm going to have to take all my clothes off in the middle of this field and put on another piece of clothing that's going to help me. Like, what? That makes no fecking sense whatsoever. It's like, why would you make us do that? Anyway, that was my gripes with that game, but it sucked the joy out of it because I didn't feel like there was anything to aim for other than just running through the story. Anyway, right, so we'll run through the PS5 sort of pros and cons, right? So we talked about some of them anyway. So my PS4 is exclusive only, as I said, now. Like, I'd only touch it if I'm playing an exclusive, or if it's something I've already bought ages ago and I've just not got around to playing it. It's super noisy, and it just puts me off turning the thing on altogether. The controller battery is complete bollocks. It's like I'll get about probably 4 hours out of, well, maybe 5 hours. I mean, you can get it when I'm turning it off on a good stretch of gaming, which might be, say, I mean, I can play a night on it, I guess, and then it's got to be charged. Like, you'd have to charge it. You're never going to get it. If I was to play it from 9 in the morning all the way through, which I did sometimes with games, all the way through to night time, never going to get that. Which means you're going to have to start sticking a cable in it. You might as well just have a bloody cabled thing into your, like the old PS2 controllers. And I think that might have been sorted out on the PS5 by the sounds of it. They've said it's a better battery life, and I think they might have taken the big glowing light off it anyway. It's got a light on it, but it's very thin and not as power draining. And then the quality and durability of the controllers themselves is bollocks as well, because they don't stand the test of time. I've gone through about 3 controllers. The sticks have just gone. Like, I mean, they're not gone to the point of like they fell apart. It's more like it doesn't quite do what it's meant to do when you try to move a character about or something. It doesn't, things just start failing. Aaron, my son, he's gone through God knows how many controllers. The one he's got is all over the place as well, and they're not robust enough. Like, if you're going to ask people to spend £50 on a controller, you've got to make them stand the test of time, people. You know what I mean? You can't be having them fall apart. I mean, there was a lot of good stuff with the DualShock 4s, so far as the design of it was much, much better than the PS3s. But the PS3's controller, but I had one PS3 controller, and it lasted me the entire generation of when I got it, 5 years or whatever it was, because I got the Slim. It was brilliant, and the battery on it lasted for bloody weeks. I only had to charge it once for a night, and it, I could have ran through winter with that thing. It's bloody awesome. So I don't know what, like, I don't know at what point they didn't think, oh, the battery's a bit shitty, and I mean, I guess durability is something you can only test over time anyway, but and then the original ones, they had that problem with the rubber on them as well, which they seem to sort out in the later versions of it. They never officially came out and said they'd sorted it, but the rubber on mine have never worn out. So, they've got to sort those things out. The PS5 controller looks great. I've noticed that one of my biggest gripes with the PlayStation, the DualShock 4, is that when my thumbs get slightly clammy, that they don't stick to the controller sticks. They just start getting slidey. And it's because there's no grip on them. They're just that plasticky rubber stuff. Whereas on the Xbox controller, the Xbox One X controller, it's got that. In fact, it's not even a rubber. It's more like a solid plastic on the Xbox controller, and it's got a grill in it that lets you grip to it. And the only downside to the Xbox controller is that the sticks are just a little bit too long as far as I'm concerned. They could do with just bringing those sticks down in length. Just make them slightly shorter, and that'd be the perfect controller for me. But when you're playing a third-person game on an Xbox controller, my God, like, the sensitivity of those sticks is just insane. But I think they've sorted out those issues with the PS5 controller, as it's just popped up there, and everything about that PS5 controller looks bob on, apart from I just want it to be black. So hopefully all those issues you've just talked about on the controller has been sorted anyway. Obviously, the exclusive lineup on the PlayStation 5, well, on PlayStation, like, and I say exclusive lineup, I'm talking about the studios, because we don't know what those studios are going to make this coming generation. We don't know if we're going to get a Last of Us Part 3, because I don't know what that story would be. But I really don't want Ellie to be left in that state. But anyway, spoilers. I won't say any more. But obviously, I'd love a Last of Us Part 3. we don't know, we don't know. Like, we know that they've announced, obviously, the Ratchet and Clank and the Spider-Man. There'll be a Spider-Man proper too. We know we're getting Miles Morales. What else did they show off? Demon's Souls remake, we know, is coming and all that. So really, like, Horizon Zero Dawn, obviously the second one, it's not called Zero Dawn, Horizon something of the Wilds, I can't remember now. Just 1 and 2 is fine, people, you know what I mean? Don't make me remember stuff. I mean, out of all of the stuff that came from the game showcase that PlayStation did, the only 2 things that I'm excited for are Demon's Souls and Ratchet and Clank, because they're the only 2 that I'm interested in. I'm not bothered about Horizon, I'm not bothered about Spider-Man, because I haven't finished Spider-Man 1. And it's not because it's a bad game, it's just because I think I'm just superheroed out. Like, I think the OCD in me wanted to just go getting all the radio towers, all that sort of stuff, and it just started feeling a bit like bloody Assassin's Creed in a Spider-Man outfit, doing all of that stuff, swinging through, like, open. I mean, everybody seems to go with that Assassin's Creed format. Like, go here, do the radio tower, you get all this stuff opened up. It's like, how many times is that format going to get done? You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know. I just found it a chore. I don't know why. Maybe I should just have stuck to the story and played through it. But I think my biggest problem is, it's a great game and it's so much fun when you're swinging through the city with him. Another big thing that I had a gripe with, and Aaron takes the mick out of me because he's like, oh, what are you trying to do, crouch on the ground? It was like, yeah, but it's the one thing that made Batman was so much better, because why is it Spider-Man can crouch on a 2-inch pole, 50 feet up, but you can't crouch and sneak around behind people when you're on the floor? It's like, so the minute I land on the ground, all I can do is run towards somebody and get spotted. It's just madness. There was a section I had to go into where it was like, it was at the waterfront. There was no buildings. All I had was like a truck and a few cars, and all these people with guns. And it's like, well, why can't I sneak? You know what I mean? I can sneak on a 2-inch pole on my toes. It's like, why can't I do that on the ground? It wound me up, people. I mean, I think the game was forcing you to have, full on action, but I just feel like it could have given me the option to sneak if I wanted to, at least to take out the first couple, and then the rest of them see me, but there was no advantage. The minute I was at the waterfront, it was like, right, I've just got to run at everybody because I can't sneak, because he wouldn't do anything other than just stomp about full standing. I couldn't even hide behind anything, I don't think. Just stood there. Anyway, I digress, people. I digress. So, yeah, Demon's Souls and Ratchet and Clank are the 2 that I'm really looking forward to, and we don't know when they're coming because they've not told us what we're getting on launch, but I'm hoping that's the 2 that we do get on launch. And if that's the case, then that would be a great shout for those 2, for that console being the one that I would get at launch. I'm getting both, people. This is what ifs. So the Series X then. I mean, as I've said, the One X, the Xbox One X, has become my primary console. I will buy and play any game on that if it's a third party game, and I will play it on the Xbox One X before I'll play it anywhere else, because I know it's going to play best there, I know it's going to look the best there, and I know it's going to play super quiet on my X without the fans making the thing take off into the sky. It's just a really well designed machine. I mean, to some extent, I'm a little bit disappointed that disappointed is maybe the wrong word, but I love the sleekness of the X and the power that was in it. It is sleek, but it is heavy, like really heavy. And that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, like you're walking around with it. But you can feel the power that's in that thing when you try and lift it up. But when it came to the Series X, they've gone with this tower, sort of half tower thing. And it's just one of those things where it's like, how is that going to look in the cabinet? It's not going to look anywhere near as nice as the One X does. It's so I don't know. The more I look at it, it's absolutely built to be stood on, to be stood tower rather than on its like a desktop on its side. But for me, I think I'm going to have to sit it on its side because I don't have enough places in the living room to be able to stand there. I'm going to have to stand. Well, I could put both of them on the sides, but I think the PlayStation 5 is going to look far better stood up than it is on its side. Whereas I think I'll get away with the X on its side. So that's the only thing about it that kind of puts me off. I don't mind the design. It's just a bit. It doesn't really fit in with what most people will have in a living room. It's the same with the PlayStation 5, though, to be fair. You know, you've got to find somewhere to stand the tower rather than put it in your TV unit where you would have put it normally. Yeah, I mean, the controller, that was a long pause, wasn't it? Did you think I'd dozed off? The controller for the Xbox One X is fantastic. And they haven't changed much with the controller on the Xbox Series X. It's exactly, well, it looks almost identical so far, and apart from it's got that share button in between. You've got the two normal buttons where they were, the center buttons, and then you've got a little share button just down between them underneath. And that was something that bugged people that wasn't there as a bog standard feature. So that share button has been added, and I think they might have done more with the haptic feedback and all that, with the rumble effects and all that. I think they've got more in depth in this new controller that's coming. Not as in depth as the DualSense, I don't think, but still, just why mess around with something that is a massive hit, you know? So that we're just seeing that controller there. You know, both controllers for me are bob on. If that controller from the PlayStation 5 is more robust and lasts longer battery wise, then great. I'll tell you something else that I love about the Xbox controller, and it's something that I've seen PlayStation fans take the mick out of, and it's the fact that they don't come with an inbuilt battery. And actually, I think that's a plus, not a deficit, because the way that, well, because the batteries last so long anyway when you put them in that you hardly ever have to change them. You know, you could play for maybe 3 or 4 nights and you'd still be fine. And even when it does run out, what I've got next to me, I've just got tucked away a little box of 4 Duracell batteries that are just rechargeable. The minute it runs out, I just pick 2 of them up, take the other 2 out, put them in the charger and fire those in, and I'm off for another 3, 4 nights if I'm playing full on. And I love that. Like, I don't want to be faffing around. I don't want to have to, like, the minute it runs out, I don't want to have to, like, oh god, right, I'm gonna have to sit with a massive cable across the room now because it's run out of battery power. And you know, I just find it really handy. I mean, with the PlayStation ones, if the PlayStation ones lasted for several days, battery wise, then it wouldn't matter because the minute I'm finished with them, I stick them in the little dual charger unit that I've got for them. So I would never be sticking a cable in anyway. So that's fine. But and with the Xbox ones, you've also got the option of getting the rechargeable battery that goes inside it, and you can just stick a cable in it and charge it anyway, I guess. But or you buy that and you buy the charging kit that comes with that. But I'm a massive fan of being able to swap batteries out anyway. So I'm not that fussed one way or the other, but I just find it super handy because I'm set up to have those chargeable batteries are literally next to me while I'm gaming. And if I feel like I want to swap them out, I just bang bang and I'm off. No cables, no charging. I'm just quickly on with it. So for me, that's a massive bonus. I mean, I don't know if they'll change that at some point, but I'm pretty sure they already clarified that the new controller for the Series X is exactly the same. You've got swappable batteries, or you can buy the charging kit for it. I can't remember if theirs is slightly cheaper because it doesn't have the battery in it. That could be the case, to be fair. I don't think it's as much for a Xbox controller as it is for the PlayStation 5 controller, and it's because the battery's in it, I think. That said, the Nintendo Pro controller is bloody awesome as well. That's probably the better of the three, to be fair. There's so much good on that. Again, though, with that one, it's the sticks. It's just rubber on the sticks, so it doesn't have enough grip on the sticks. But apart from that, it's a gorgeous controller. Really, really nice to use. And that's the most expensive of all of them, I think. And so far as the launch titles went for Xbox Series X, I have to say that again, it's 2 games against 2 games if I had to pick between the two, because I'm super excited for Fable and I'm super excited for Avowed, which is the new RPG that the Obsidian studio are making. And I I just don't want to be without either of those. And Fable's a reboot, so it's starting from scratch on the new gen, and I'm really excited about that. So, and bear in mind, like, uh, it's a remake each, isn't it, and a new one each. Well, yeah, a remake and a new one each, yeah. So I don't know what I would pick at this moment in time. I mean, I feel like maybe I'd be getting something fresher with the X, because Fable original is so old now that to see what a rebooted version of that is like, and from another British studio, and the humor and everything looks like it's bang on already in the vibe. And then Avowed, which looks like it's a Skyrim-esque type thing in the Pillars of Eternity universe. I just they're not. Yeah, is it Pillars Path of? Is it Path of Exile? I can't remember now. It's in one of them anyway. It's in one of those universes. Yeah, it's Path of Exile, not Pillars of Eternity. Path of Exile. Oh, I can't remember. But anyway, it's in one of those universes, but done in a first-person way, like Skyrim, effectively. And it just looked like that is right up my street. When it went into the at the end of that clip, when it went into the first-person view and the sword came up and their magics came up in the other hand, I was like, "Fuck yeah, give me that shit right now." It just looked awesome, and I was like, I don't know, I think if somebody said to me, like, you can only have one of these consoles on day one, um, we don't know when these titles are coming out, so let's say they won't be, but let's say that those titles were coming out on day one, I would go for the Xbox. And in the back of my head, I'd be saying, but I would have to get a PlayStation as soon as I could. I would save up for another one, and because I would have to play those PlayStation exclusives. I wouldn't want to be without them. But I think I would want to play the new Fable and Avowed before I would be as itching to play Ratchet and Clank and the Demon Souls one. Not that I'm not excited for them, but if I had to choose, I think it would be the Series X, just for those 2 games. But listen, I don't have a preference to either based on I'm a fanboy of one or the other. I just love gaming, and I will game where I'm happiest and where my best experiences are. And for me, if I have to choose, which I don't, but if I had to choose, I would choose Fable and Avowed over Demon Souls remake and Ratchet and Clank, simply because I feel like I know what those experiences are, but I don't know what the other 2 experiences are, and I'm super excited to see them. So I would have to go with that. Realistically, I don't think Avowed and Fable are anywhere near launch. I mean, they're going to be 2 years from now minimum, in my opinion. And that's not a bad thing, because I think they will be developed and designed specifically for the Series X, and they won't be backward compliant to the Xbox One. And that's absolutely fine with me. So, I'm basing that purely on the game choice, because I feel like, okay, the Series X is going to have a little bit more power in the teraflop side. We've still yet to see. We're not going to know which of those consoles performs the best on games until the things are out and we see Digital Foundry doing their thing, comparing all the games. And I think they'll flip from game to game as to which one runs best where, but it's 2 fantastic consoles, people. So just pick the one where you think you're going to get the best experience. And if at some point down the line you feel like you want the other one for whatever exclusive, then just save your monies up, and get the other one. But yeah, that's where I am at the minute with it. I'm excited though, people. I really am. I just wish that they would come up with some launch dates for us and give us a pre-order, because I just want to know that I've got mine pre-ordered. What did I put at the end here? Yeah, that was you won't know what's the best until we see them. Yeah, I mean it's basically we won't know who's got the best console until we see them compared, will we? So, but I am super excited for it all. I really am. It's going to be a cracking year. I mean, it's already been a cracking year. With Ghost of Tsushima and The Last of Us Part 2 coming out. I mean, what a finish to the PlayStation 4 that was. But I mean, if they'd been close, I mean, there's a little bit of me that wishes they'd just left those till launch day, to be honest with you, for the PS5, because I think I would rather have enjoyed those experiences on the PS5, because hopefully that noise situation has been sorted out and you've got a nice quiet console, and it would have just played that little bit crisper and maybe at 60 frames per second. And I feel like everything I've seen at the minute from PlayStation is still at 30 frames per second, but I feel like everything we're seeing from Xbox is pushing that 60 frames per second, and that's another thing that's got me a little bit concerned, because I don't want all PlayStation games to be at 30 frames per second. That's what I've got now. I'd rather have, I've said this before, I think I'd rather have 1080p at 60 frames per second than 4K at 30 frames per second. But I guess it depends on the game. I mean, 4K is nice though, isn't it, when it kicks in? It's a hard one, isn't it? But we really, like, if you've made a console for this coming generation and it can't do 4K at 60 frames per second on a game, then you've not done something right as far as I'm concerned, because that should be the standard of these new consoles, in my opinion. But it's going to be down to the developers as well, The developers are going to have to get their heads around how to best to get the juice out of these new systems. And it takes years for them to learn it. And that's why we see the best games at the tail end of the generations. It really is. But I can't make I mean, if I had to choose, I couldn't make my console choice based on The Last of Us Part 3, if it ever happens, because that'll be the year before the PS6 comes out. So, you know what I mean? I might as well just wait and buy one at that point at a much lower price. But I don't think they're going to be cheap. I think we're going to be looking at probably 450, 500 pounds in this country, I think. I don't think it'll be more than £500. I think if they go more than £500, people will just be like, what? And bear in mind about it, the world's in a massive economic nightmare at the minute, because a lot of people have lost their jobs. I mean, the whole coronavirus thing's just been a nightmare. So it's not the best of times to be asking people to fork out £1 gazillion for a console. So I might have over-exaggerated there. A gazillion's a little bit more than £500. It's a real monetary term, gazillion, I think you'll find. Google it. Well, there you are, people. That's my opinion. As it stands at the moment, as I'm sat here today, I was forced to choose, I would choose the Series X based on those two games and my experiences of where I am now at the moment with controller and console experience, noise and power. So, but that's where I am today. If PlayStation had a thing tomorrow and said all those things have been sorted out and actually on launch day we're getting this and this, and maybe my opinion would change. But I have to go with where my heart is at the minute, and based on what I saw the other night from the games I know that are coming. So I think I would probably go for Series X as it stood at the minute. But I would, I'm glad I don't have to choose though, people. Bloody hellfire. I mean, I'm glad I don't spend my money on much else, because all the pennies I save up, I know I'm going to be buying everything, all the games, people, all the games and all the consoles. I'm buying them all. I just know that in my brain, and my brain says save your pennies because that's what you're going to be using it for. So, not to, I wouldn't use all my penny. I mean, I do save. I do well with my money, people. So, but I know that I'm going to be, every 7 years or so, I'm going to be forking out a big chunk of 1,000 to 1,500 quid on all this new stuff when the new stuff comes out. And that's where people spend their money on other things, don't they? I don't. Anyway, I ramble on, people. I ramble on. Anyway, I hope that's been of some interest to you. But it was an interesting question that was put to me the other night from Aaron Brew. And I thought, you know what, I'd make a good podcast that just to break down how I would make that decision if I was forced to make it. But there you are. It'd be interesting. Let me know in the comments below what you would choose. I feel like I know that there's going to be a lot of PS5 answers. Of course there is. Because I think the majority of people that watch my channel are probably PlayStation players. And obviously PlayStation's been far more popular than Xbox One has through this generation, so that's fine. But let me know in the comments below your opinions and feelings on everything, even if it's just on the showcase itself or if it's on what you would do if you were forced to choose. Are you getting both? Is there anyone else out there that's getting both at launch like I am? Let me know in the comments below, people. Should we do another one? Should we do, now that I've got a special place for my beer? Flaggins up to you all. I hope you've enjoyed this. I've had a really, this new studio is amazing, people. I need to sort these images out, though. You can't be doing with me going completely blank. Literally went dark to beyond belief. I've got a lamp in front of me here that's shining light on me, but the minute that went white, it will probably go dark in a second now. There we go. Ooh, hello. Mind you, I don't know. Maybe you prefer it when you can't see me. There you are. Yes, the new studio is going to do us well, people. So I hope you're enjoying these podcasts. I shall be able to do them at the click of my fingers now, which is fantastic. And that's exactly what I wanted. Like, I wanted rid of all of the fuss of being having to set stuff up and blah, blah, blah. All I have to do now is bring the laptop up. All the cables are there. Just bang them in. I'm going to leave this camcorder and tripod up and, well, in this room. So all I have to do is open it and bang, that's all set up. It's brilliant. So I'm really, really chuffed I got that done today. And I look forward to doing more from this brand new studio, people. It has been an honour and a privilege serving for you in this podcast of mine today. And I shall see you in the next one, folks. Take it easy. Bye.